welcome to your weekly dose of the internet for Sunday, April 28th, 2019. I am Michael Schwan.
And I'm Alphonse.
Hi, Alphonse.
Hello.
For those that cannot see the video, Nathan is talking through a cat.
Vicariously.
I do wish the cat could speak.
I don't. It'd probably get fucking annoying.
Probably. He'd probably have lots of choice words for you.
Come here, buddy. Don't leave me.
Mainly things along the lines of smell my butt.
Yeah, actually. He really does like shoving his fucking ass in people's face.
Like, smell my butt. You're not smart when you shake the food bowl. I literally do that just to maintain my mastery over you.
That's not true. He's fucking dumb. That's like invisible to him.
Yeah, I still think he does it just so that you still be his servant.
No, I think he's pretty fucking dumb, to be honest. It would just be annoying because I'd have to constantly be helping him.
Walks over to you, Dad, how do I breathe?
Well, you see, you don't.
Please
look
remember,
at
everyone,
him.
you can help support this show by going to patreon.com/dailyinternet or picking up some of our merchandise in the link down below. If you have anything you want us to talk about, whether it's news related or media related, if it's about a movie, if you've got a question about Endgame, me and Nathan have both seen it. Anything at all. If you have a theory, a question, anything like that, connect with us wherever you please. You can always join us live on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Alaska time, 10 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, and 1 p.m. on the East Coast if you are in America. I am sorry, I do not have immediate reference if you are somewhere else. Otherwise, you can also just connect with us on social media. We are at iReaditCast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit. And please connect with us anywhere and everywhere you please. How was your week, man?
It's all right. I've really just been waiting for the weekend the entire week.
Well, I mean, we're already halfway through it. And what did you do? Played a bunch of D&D?
I went to a Magic pre-release and I got all of the Planeswalkers I wanted to get.
Oh, good.
I built a deck around Narset because she's fucking gross, especially with the Fairies puzzle box.
You still playing that Oathbreaker stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
So Narset says opponents can only draw one card a turn. So I played the Fairies puzzle box to effectively make people discard their entire hand.
Yep. There's many effects that work that exact same way. But power to you, sir.
The signature spell is Windfall because I'm a dickhead.
You are a dickhead.
Yeah.
So we will not be doing any spoilers for Endgame whatsoever. We probably will talk about it later. But the thing that I'm just gonna say right now, and it is not a spoiler, so you do not need to worry, is that I cried 6 times, and there is not a post credits scene. So don't if you need to pee, don't feel like you need to wait to see like what happens.
All right, guys. Here's the big spoiler in it. John B. the Genie kills Dumbledore.
Oh, damn. You know, I've been seeing so many of those, and all of them just make me kind of sigh and roll my eyes. It's just like...
my foot's asleep.
Like, the lack of effort in most of those jokes. Like, I'll give you a small bit of credit for using John B. the Genie instead of literally things like Emperor Palpatine uses...
Yo, he's coming back, though. It's important.
Right, but I mean, it's like Emperor Palpatine uses the magic school bus and drives it through Mordor to stop Thanos at Gondor's gates or something like that. And it's like it just
with the candlestick.
It just makes me think of like all the shitty jokes that make me hate Big Bang Theory. Of like, we're just gonna say a bunch of pop culture references or some nerd words and put a laugh track at the end of it, and that's gonna be our entire gimmick for our whole series.
Like, more than half of those jokes are not funny.
No, they're not. They're not even jokes most of the time. It's literally just nerd speak, laugh track.
Ha ha ha! They said quantum like 80 times in a row.
Well, or it's literally like a reference just to The Hobbit, but the thing is that Big Bang Theory is not for people that watch, that are part of pop culture, that are part of the nerd society. It's instead for like jocks that want to laugh at nerds,
which is fucking rude.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not denying that, but that is definitely the situation that I find Big Bang Theory to be in most of the time.
Oh, absolutely, and it's pretty dicks, to be honest.
Well, one thing that I do, there's one thing that I like about Big Bang Theory. One, and that's
When
when
it ends,
well, I mean, okay, two. And that is when they were first starting the series, the director really wanted to portray them in a realistic setting to what their lifestyle would be in terms of what kind of apartment and stuff they would live in. And they ended up not going with that because when they did research into the type of living situations that like college science people or professors live in, it was too depressing.
well, yeah,
And I was like, well, mm-hmm.
that's because those people suck. No, that's not true. A lot of them are great people. I can't.
So instead,
They're
they
just
went with the crazy, massive, amazing apartment in the middle of a great, area that they have in Big Bang
which
Theory.
doesn't exist.
No, I mean, it's no different than, like the apartments and Friends and stuff like that. It's like nobody has apartments that big.
Well, that's not true.
No,
People with good paying jobs. Nobody in Friends should have those kinds of apartments because most of them don't actually work a fucking job to save their life.
didn't they actually provide an explanation for the one in Friends that it was technically like it had been homesteaded by like a really old lady and they were still pretending that she lived there or some shit like that?
Yeah, I think that was I think that was an episode.
Like they did explain how Monica had that big amazing apartment.
Yeah, I do believe they did explain that in an episode, but I don't know it because I didn't watch a lot of Friends.
It's not that important. I don't care that much.
I never really finished a full episode of Friends when I was a kid because I would always watch it as I was falling asleep.
You'd watch long enough to go, and then you're done.
Yeah.
I've watched a decent amount of it. Like I watched so many things around the age of like 10 years old because my mom or my sister were watching it. Like I've seen almost all of One Tree Hill just because
Dude, I'm sorry.
just because like I'd be sitting there hanging out with my sister because I wanted to spend time with my sister and she'd be watching One Tree Hill.
That's that's real fucked up.
What are like some other random things that I've seen just because my mom was really into like CSI and Law and Order SVU, so I've seen almost all of both of those series. Well, okay, not SVU because that one's still going, but the original CSI I believe has run its course, hasn't it?
I think.
I think so. I don't
Same
know.
with CSI New York, I think. I think that one ran its course.
I don't know.
That one ended real quick.
As long as it wasn't Miami, I didn't care.
I didn't like Miami as a kid.
I didn't like Miami at all. I still don't like Miami. I hate the dude.
Yeah, Miami's pretty bad in my opinion.
I also remember watching, what was it, Criminal Intent, I think was the other one that mom would always watch.
The most enjoyable part of CSI Miami was the pun in the beginning. And that was it. That was it. There's nothing to the show.
What else did I randomly watch all the time as a kid?
I watched a lot of House. I watched
House, yeah. Monk.
I watched a shitload of CSI,
Yeah, Monk. Watched a lot of Monk.
Law and Order, both SVU and
I didn't like basic Law and Order, but I did enjoy SVU.
I watched them both. I didn't mind. They're not bad.
I think it's because basic Law and Order was too much of the courtroom very often, and I didn't care when I was a kid.
Nah, you wanted police and gunfights. Except there wasn't a lot of gunfights.
No, that takes money. And let's face it, those shows didn't have much money.
No, absolutely not. Otherwise, they'd be successful.
I mean, and then there was the stuff that I watched, which was basically like just anything on Spike TV.
Oh yeah, dude, like Slam Ball.
Slam Ball, MXE. What the hell is the name of that other Terabad show? I don't remember anymore. Like what was it called? Like 1,000 Ways to Die. What was the one where they pitted historical warriors against one another? It was kind of like Death Battle, but they'd pit like a Roman versus a samurai. I can't remember what it's called.
Deadliest Warrior.
Yeah, there you go.
Took me a second. There was a video game for it, and it wasn't very good.
No, that doesn't surprise me. It sounds like a cheap money grab.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, you want to talk about some news, buddy?
Sure.
Or are we just going to be a historical Spike TV? Is Spike TV still a thing?
No, it is not.
No?
I don't believe so.
Hang on. What? I'm trying to find out real quick. No, it died.
It's not the Paramount Network?
It died last year. That's not. I mean, I expected it to have died before that.
It's been rebranded as the Paramount Network.
Yeah, that's a shitty brand name. That just sounds like generic mega corporation number 529.
That's because it's from Paramount Pictures.
No, I understand. That doesn't change the fact that it just sounds like, generic megacorp number 529.
You sound like generic megacorp number 529.
Thanks, friend.
10.
Britain has broke its record for the longest continuous period without generating electricity from coal.
This is submitted by WRDB 2007 to our news.
So, 1, good job. 2, problem. So they went 90 hours before it had to come to an end on Monday afternoon last week. And they didn't generate any power with coal in that time frame. That said, it wasn't all generated with renewable energy, though. They were using natural gas for a good portion of their power generation, which is that's not what we're shooting for here.
No, it's not.
They're celebrating a little prematurely. If you get to a point where you are running completely with renewable energy, whether it's geothermal, solar, wind, etc., cool, celebrate all day long. But if you're just replacing one fossil fuel with another...
Yeah, but coal's a pretty big fossil fuel.
Right, but the studies show that using natural gas instead of coal it still doesn't meet the needs to cut greenhouse gases. Like, yes, coal is worse, but if you were to switch all of the coal plants to gas plants, it still doesn't actually solve the problem.
You gotta do baby steps, though.
It's a start. That said, just start building some more solar panels and some more wind farms.
Yeah.
But they'll ruin the scenery.
Oh God, that's the worst fucking argument. And Trump's the goddamn worst because the argument is that they'll give you cancer, right? The noise will give you cancer.
Now they will, yeah.
Yeah. But that was the worst fucking argument ever.
Even though I don't recall ever hearing the noise of a wind turbine.
It makes the kind of noise where it's like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Yep, that'll give you cancer.
Yeah.
Him talking gives me cancer.
Oh, man.
9.
Thank God that's not an actual thing, otherwise we'd all be dead. Donald Trump's UK state visit faces maximum disruption as protesters vow to make trip as unpleasant as possible.
This is submitted by Viva La Vinyl to Our World News.
So, Theresa May, who I'm pretty sure is just one of the most disliked...
More like Terrible May.
Oh,
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Anyway.
You haven't pressed that button in a while.
Yeah, I forgot I had it for a long while.
Surprise.
Theresa May, who is probably one of the most disliked people on the planet at this point without actually just murdering people.
She has a pretty good meme.
The walking onto stage
The whole
one?
walking out on the stage. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
In any case, so she has been the driving force of Brexit since that vote went through, and Brexit just keeps getting worse and worse and worse for the United Kingdom. It was going into looking like they are now going to have a no-deal Brexit, so they're getting nothing from the European Union as they leave, which I don't know why they thought they would get anything anyway. And so Theresa May's next big hope is to hook...
They take everything.
Yeah, right, is to hook that big fish in the United States. And so Theresa May herself is the one who invited Donald Trump to come visit the United Kingdom in hopes of securing a massive lucrative trade deal between the United Kingdom and the United States so that they can still go forward with Brexit without literally chopping off the bottom half of their bodies.
I want to see a bunch of English people walk around on their hands now.
Why?
Because they're chopping off the bottom half of their bodies.
Oh, got it. Okay. I see. Okay. Yeah. So the White House has accepted, and Donald Trump is going to make the trip over to the United Kingdom.
Didn't Jeremy Corbyn say he was going to boycott that shit?
dude, like the
Isn't
United
he the lead
Kingdom.
of the Labor Party?
Yes, the United Kingdom as a whole is just like
Yeah, they dislike the guy.
they went from like a 50.1 to 49.9% split on Brexit to like 80-20.
Damn, no one wants Brexit anymore.
And they've been calling for a revote, and Theresa May's like, no, you can't revote. And it's like, yeah, we
Where's
can.
the democracy if you revote? Well,
that's
it's right there. That's the point of
that's
the
how
revote.
democracy works. Like you take a vote to change your fucking mind. Like, so yeah, more and more people are pushing harder and harder and harder against Brexit because at this point it's literally bad for everyone. Like it's not even great for the EU because they do lose the United Kingdom, but the EU is the European Union. They have everyone else that's still going to be in the EU, so they can get by with relatively little trouble. For Britain, it just kind of just bends them over the table and says, "Well, you better bite something, and it's going to hurt."
And, I feel like there should be a new flag, like a new "Don't Tread on Me" flag for people who are diehard Brexit fans, because the "Don't Tread on Me" flag is pretty much a fucking joke on the internet now.
It is. It's become just a meme itself.
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of joke or really bad meme about the swastika being their flag, but I could be wrong.
That's bad.
Yeah, it is. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's fine.
8,
This is really long, so I'm just going to shorten this down to how to talk to your teens about substance abuse.
This is submitted by Mavia to our science.
So scientists have done a lot of research into the proper approach to discussing with your children about substance abuse. And basically what they found is just telling them not to do it doesn't work. Like just being like, don't do drugs, kids. They just ignore it. It's not even that they don't hear it. It's that they hear it and go, well, that's not realistic because I know that all of you did drugs when you were kids. So screw you for trying to just tell me that I can't do something that you, or even the ones that you currently do. Like there'll be friggin' parents that are smoking up a joint, be like, you shouldn't do drugs, kids. It's like, that's a fucking drug. I don't care if it's legal now or not. Same with like alcohol or sex, anything like that. Just telling them to not do it, to maintain abstinence of whatever that substance or activity is, doesn't work. Instead, it is the thing that they found is most successful. One is not ignoring it. So the parents that are too open about what their children do, those children are the worse off. If you don't show that you care on any level, those children are going to just go down dark paths normally.
Burn. They're going to burn.
Instead, what it is about taking a realistic approach about this is something that you're probably going to come across. These are the dangers that you should be aware of. These are why we try and stay away from these things. And it's more about like, don't try and keep your 16-year-old from drinking alcohol, but explain to them like, okay, this is what happens if you drink too much. This is what you need to be aware of. This is what you do if something goes wrong. You prepare them for reality rather than trying to hide them from it. It's about sending a message of harm reduction rather than harm avoidance, because humans are very stupid, curious creatures. So we're just
It's just gonna happen.
we're like, Jaeger, what's that? Like,
I know exactly what I'm getting into, especially today.
oh,
Don't worry, it'll be my thing of the day.
very well. Very well. Oh, hey, did you have a good 420 last week?
It's all right.
So I had
Didn't
one,
really do much.
I had one friend
Played-
that does anyone do much on 420?
I mean, some people do. Some people throw like gigantic smoking parties. I just played Risk of Rain 2.
Nice. I think I have burnt myself out on that game until we get some updates.
I have not. I've gotten to that point too. Though I did it solo, which is significantly easier.
It is. Me and Tony, as two-player, we were on a 3-hour run to where we were so strong the teleporter didn't even spawn bosses anymore because it didn't know what boss to spawn. And even the strong elite bosses would die in about 2 seconds. So, and after 3 hours, we were like,
that's about right.
well,
You have to do one of two things. You have to either you have to either just die by standing still,
which is what we tried to do.
or you have to obliterate.
Yep. So, anywho, not here to talk about games yet.
7,
Disney Air calls on company to give 50% of executive bonuses to lowest paid employees.
That was submitted by Serial 007 to our uplifting news.
Abigail Disney, who is, the heiress of Disney.
You're breathing her in constantly right now.
Oh, God.
it's a pun.
You hate me. Anyway, she is very often spoken out against the systemic injustice that is being done to the lower class people. Especially since, hey, hang on, how much is CEO of Disney Bob Iger worth? Bob Iger net
That's
worth.
a good question.
He is we know that he made. He has a net worth of $350 million and a average salary of $50 million a year.
Y'all got any more of those $1 million salaries?
Not that bad. I mean, it is pretty bad, but compared to like Bobby Kotick, who's the CEO of Activision Blizzard, who is worth something like $7 billion and makes like $500 million a year. I mean, I realize there are, different degrees of severity when it comes to this kind of shit, but I expected the CEO of Disney to be much higher up than he is in terms of net worth. Anyway, So the heiress of Disney, Abigail Disney, has called on Disney to pay their lowest employees better. And there's this problem that exists of that Disney is what, like many other companies that have raised this defense of we already pay more than minimum wage, and at like Disneyland in California, they get paid $15 an hour. But Abigail Disney says, yeah, that's cute and all, but you also are very well aware that $15 an hour is dirt shit in California.
Yeah, it doesn't cut it.
Nobody survives on $15 an hour in California.
No. No one really survives on $15 an hour in most places.
And while you have people like Bob Iger, who got paid $66 million last year, meanwhile, the median salary of a Disney employee is $46,000, and there's 200,000 employees for Disney that are on that lowest rung. The people at the top are being made rich by essentially systemic slavery.
Yeah. Yeah, except this time instead of prisoners, it's animators.
Or, just, people that are working on rides or, taking tickets at a booth or whatever.
That's fair. That too.
Now, Disney has already spoken in response to the criticism, saying that they didn't really respond to how much they pay their employees. Instead, they just focused on how much they pay Bob Iger. And basically, they're like, well, all of his pay has been performance-based. Since he took over the company in 2005, just in the last month alone, Disney's net worth in terms of the company's value, its market cap has raised by $75 billion. And the stock price for a single share of Disney in 2005 was $24, and it is $132 today. So the shareholders are rewarding Bob Iger for keeping them rich, is really what it is.
Yeah, it's a real big workaround.
I don't know what happens, but I feel like we are going to end up hitting some sort of critical mass when it comes to rich people trying to get richer by making poor people either stay poor or get even poorer.
It's when the poor people start eating them. That's when things going to start turning around.
I hope it doesn't have to hit that point, but I am concerned that within the next 20 years we do hit that level.
Point of eating people.
Yeah, because it is getting more and more severe all the time. Every single industry is getting more and more egregious in the ways that it tries to the level of growth that most companies have seen over the last 20 years is extremely unsustainable, but shareholders and CEOs have this expectation to maintain insane levels of growth. Apple went from a company no one cared about to being a $1 trillion company. They've since fallen. A $1 trillion company within 20 years. And there were people that legitimately had expectations to maintain that level of growth, which is completely unreasonable.
Yeah, I agree that it is completely unreasonable, and that people need to just step back for a moment and realize that sometimes when you don't grow in a year, that's fine.
It's not from a business perspective is the
No,
problem, and
but
it's not
it
from a
is
greed
fine.
perspective.
You can take a cut one year and be fine the next year. You can take a dip. That's fine.
And like what irritates me is the people that are like, the economy's doing great. I was like, that's only good for people that have money invested in the economy.
Yeah, if
That
you
does
don't, then
that
you're
does not
fucked.
help anybody else. If you
And
are a
that's like
wealthy person,
more than 40% of Americans don't give a shit.
I bet it's even way more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, 40% of Americans don't have more than
I'm being
$1,000 in their savings account. It's probably more along the lines of like 85% or more of Americans. A good economy
just don't
means
give a shit.
nothing. Also, I mean, a good economy, if trickle-down economics actually existed, which it doesn't, or if there was a level of, I mean, compared like to the tax breaks that the Trump administration gave, and it's like, it'll help them have more money for more jobs. Most of them didn't add more jobs. They just had more money now. And
Yeah.
so, like, if any of those idealistic circumstances existed, yeah, sure.
Once a company realizes that they can run on bare bones minimum, they're not going to be hiring more people just for the willy-nilly of it.
Yeah, because why would you? Like,
Yeah.
when
Like-
there is some private organizations that do, because they don't have to answer to shareholders. They don't have to answer to investors that are like, "Where's my payout? I gave you $100,000, and I expected within 3 to 5 years or whatever for you to be giving me back 150,000 thanks to increased value of your company. If you didn't achieve
investors
that,
suck sometimes.
it's largely like the stock market is like, while it has its benefits, it is largely what is just killing America, because the entire system designed around buying shares and having them paid out is the dividends on your shares is what is causing companies to become more and more
Morally bankrupt.
that's a good phrase for it, of just as
Scummy as possible.
aggressive as they can be to squeeze every last dollar, not just out of their employees, but out of consumers as well. It's what has led to so many shitty business practices.
If most businesses could, they would just make housing and you would live there cheaper and you would just do nothing but sleep there and then work.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure there was a Black Mirror episode about that.
I don't know. I didn't watch Black Mirror.
Dude, Black Mirror is amazing.
6,
Parents are more comfortable with girls partaking in gender-nonconforming behavior than boys, and attempt to change their son's behavior more frequently.
This was submitted by Mavia to our science.
This doesn't surprise me, but basically
No.
what it is like, if a girl is acting like a boy, nobody cares, and including if a girl wants to transition into a boy, most people don't care. It is only when a boy acts like a girl or a boy wants to transition into a girl that a large amount of discussion is being had. I mean, I don't believe with the whole bathroom issue, it was only about creeper dudes going into the women's bathroom. It was never anything the other direction.
Right.
And I think I think it's a systemic thing. I mean,
I feel all right. So, and this is going to catch me a lot of flack. I feel like women have certain privileges that men can't. Like men just don't have. Among them is more acceptance in this case of doing things that the other gender is more than likely to be the one that it's technically assigned to. You know, like sewing, for instance. A lot of people will be like, "You're sewing? What a fucking weirdo!" For if a man was doing it, but if a woman's doing it, it's fine. So whatever.
And I think that kind of feeds into what I was saying, of that it's a systemic thing. Nobody really bats an eye if you see a girl who's a tomboy. But I do think, to build on your statement, though, that it's more of a personality thing rather than in a societal type effect. Because if there is a woman who is aggressive like a man in a business sense, they are put down very,
Hot
very
as fuck.
harshly.
Oh.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. But they are described very differently because, like, if a man is, a very aggressive businessman, he becomes that. He is a go-getter. He's an entrepreneur. He's ready to do what
Well,
it
I don't
takes
know.
for the
I mean,
company.
this kind of stretches into other fields too, right? So, like, for instance, suicide rates pretty much the same between men and women.
Sure.
However, for attempted suicide, however, successful suicide, men tend to outpace women drastically because more often than not, their choice of suicide is gunshot wound. And like, whereas women, it's more like
pills?
Pills, yeah, overdosing.
And if you don't choose the right substance, it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Not well, anyway.
Or another thing, there are a couple government pages on women's health, but there are none for men's health.
Sure. And again, I think that all just feeds into systemic stuff because, like, and I know what you're trying to get at is that, like, men have, like, because men for the longest time have ruled the world, there is this very specific idea of how men should be. It feeds into that thing of, like, men aren't allowed to have emotions. You're not allowed to cry. You're not allowed.
Right. You're a robot. You go from point A to point B. You do your work, and then you
make
don't
babies
bitch
and move on. Like, yeah.
You are walking sacks of sperm.
Yeah, you big strong man, you run country, you make babies, thank you, goodbye, go watch football. And so I think that's more what you're trying to get at rather than necessarily saying that women have more privileges. I think it's that women are allowed in more ways to express themselves beyond the
which is a privilege.
Sure. In that very unique sphere.
Right.
And I think that also feeds into, as we are getting into this more this larger level of openness about who we are and what we act like, how we feel like, what we dress like, etc., is why it is more open on the women's side than it is the men, including with children, which is what this specific article and study was focusing on. Was, why does my son want to wear a dress? Absolutely not. You little boy, you need to wear, jeans and a shirt and go play in the dirt. Put that Barbie down.
You're just dumb because, like, 50, 60, 70 years ago, little boys were wearing dresses all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, society today doesn't know or remember that. Like, you can read that in a random history book, and they'll just be like, "Man, the past was fucking stupid and weird."
Disappointing.
Johnny, eat that cricket, or you're not a man. Do I need to be a man? I said you did too, so do it. Like,
I guess this also extends into, like, high schoolers, where if, like, a boy wanted to do gymnastics or dancing
or cheerleading or whatever,
right?
So, yeah. I think, and I've said this before with a lot of things, whether it's like the old gentlemen's club in our government or societal acceptance of people that want to be something outside of the societal norm. It's just a matter of time. Like, the younger audiences, like everyone around the age of like 40 and younger, the younger you get, the more open they are to letting people be who they are. And so even stuff like this, like, yes, a lot of like people that are like our parents were not open to that, but a lot of people our age who are the newer parents who are just now starting to have children and stuff like that, we are much more open and accepting.
Right, we're in a rollover period.
Yeah, it's gonna take like 100 years. It's not a fast change, but we will see the change.
5.
Navy SEALs tried for months to report Superior for war crimes and were told to let it go.
This is submitted by Sakirial to Our World News.
Yeah, so there was a group of Navy SEAls who witnessed their platoon chief commit multiple crimes in Iraq.
Was their platoon chief named Elsa?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I don't want to say his name because he's a piece of garbage. His name is in here, though, but I'm not going to say it. But I will say what he did, piece of garbage. He stabbed and killed an unarmed teenage captive. He shot to death a young girl and an old man and would continuously fire indiscriminately into crowds of fleeing civilians. He even took a knife and killed a young teenage girl who was being treated by a medic.
Wow, what a fucking dickhead.
Because
yeah, that's not something that you just let go.
Yeah, and it was because she was believed to be a member of the Islamic State, so he just took a knife and just killed her right there.
You don't want to keep her there, question her, anything like that?
Or, not kill like a 14-year-old girl who's probably been,
Repatriate?
or, I mean, yeah, anyway. But despite the Navy SEALs being told by their superior officer to just let it go and that they would most likely get fired if they did try and take anything out against their platoon chief, they as a whole continued pushing forward, and it did lead to an investigation, and led to an arrest. He is going to court next month and is expected to get life in prison.
Good.
The main one that they are focusing on in terms of the charge of war crimes is the one that I described of knifing a young girl to death who was being treated by a medic.
Yeah, that's definitely a fucking war crime if I've ever fucking heard one.
Yeah, that's not okay in any level whatsoever. Speaking of stuff that's not okay, I watched this really chilling video of a guy that was a fighter in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was shared onto Reddit and it got up.
Was it the one where he talked about shooting down the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the parachutes.
Yeah, so there was he was on the Allies side, and he was a dog fighter. So he had a warplane. It was
He had a dog.
Yeah, he had a dog. He threw the dog out of the plane.
No, he flew the dog.
He flew the dog, even better. You've heard of Dumbo? Well, welcome to.
It's just like Snoopy, dude.
Welcome to Dogbo. Anyway, and he witnessed this German dog fighter who was shooting parachuted pilots out of the sky, which largely you don't do that. There's a lot of unwritten rules when it comes to war. You don't shoot the medic if the medic is treating somebody. You don't shoot the person they're treating or the medic.
Or the messenger.
You don't shoot the messenger. If you shoot a pilot out of their plane and they eject and they're parachuting, you don't shoot them. They are no longer they can no longer do anything. They are no longer a fighter. They are a somebody who's just trying to survive at this point. They're trying to parachute to the ground and retreat.
At that point, they have become civilians.
Yeah, they're no longer a hostile force.
Right.
And so one of the rules for that, one of the unwritten rules that both sides knew this as well. It was just one of those things of we are already stretching the limits of what our humanity is. We don't want to push into the point where we are just absolute we have forsaken our humanity. And so he saw this German warfighter shooting parachutes out of the air, which the people in parachutes, they can do nothing. They have no way to defend themselves. They have no way to get out of the way.
They might be. Some of them might have a 1911 on them.
Maybe, but what are you going to do against a plane?
As it's coming straight at you, you got to fire at it.
50 caliber rounds, 800 rounds a minute, you lose. And
6 guns.
Yeah, 6 guns. And so this Allied fighter saw this and was like, okay. And so he spent the rest of that dogfight chasing that German fighter around, shot him out of the sky, forced him to eject and pop his own parachute, and then was like, well, this seems fair, and then just proceeded to mincemeat the guy and turn him into Swiss cheese with 50 caliber rounds.
Again, 6 guns.
6 guns, 50 caliber rounds, 800 rounds a minute. Just
there's nothing left of the guy.
No. He was just pieces.
Utterly destroyed.
And he went back to camp and there was people did you just, he's like, yes. And then went and told his superior officer what happened.
Good. You have to explain this kind of situations.
Yeah, because otherwise you're the asshole.
Yeah. Otherwise people just witness the end and they're just like, wow, you're a dick.
You're an evil guy. No, I killed an evil guy. You didn't change the number of evil people in the world. Shut up, Batman.
4.
Yeah, but if you kill more, then you got Dexter going on.
Thanks,
right?
Punisher. Dark matter detector observes the radioactive decay of xenon-124, which has a half-life of 18 sextillion years.
Oh, it says 6. This is submitted by Kurifu, 1991, to R Science.
So I am going to do my absolute best to explain this in the simplest terms possible.
Good, because I'm not going to be able to understand it.
Xenon-124 is a atom that exists in the world. So it's kind of like a hydrogen atom or a helium atom.
Or my good friend Adam.
Or our good friend Adam. And so it is just a substance that exists in the form of an atom. Now, we know what atoms are made up of: the nucleus, protons, neutrons, and then swirling around them is electrons. Okay. I hope we're
In
all
the quantum, right?
oh god, hope we're still all on track. So now the thing is that there are the bonds that keep an atom together.
They usually form them by going out every Friday night to drink.
Exactly. The protons, neutrons, the great drinking buddies all the time.
Yeah.
Well, over time, those bonds weaken. Life
The beer
changes.
dries.
Life changes. Beer doesn't taste as good anymore.
Yeah.
The hydrogen got
You
a
just gotta keep
kid, so
moving
he's
on,
not. Hydrogen's not able to go out as often because he's got a kid, and those bonds kind of weaken. They try and hang out like it's maybe once a month now. Turns into every other month a poker night, and eventually those bonds weaken, right? And this is what causes an atom to break apart. Now, obviously, there are substances like this is how we make nuclear energy. We break an atom apart, the energy is released, and that's how we.
Wow, we got to sacrifice so many atoms to
Yep,
get nuclear.
every time.
Those
So-
poor guys.
The-
See, this is what we talk about when we talk about female to male privilege. Only atoms are the ones that get fucked up. All right, we need to start a group that helps save the atoms.
So
It was Adam and Eve, they were the first ones, and they're the last ones when we blow ourselves up.
So the difference between these substances is how strong their bonds are, how stable it is. So the things that we use to make nuclear energy, they're extremely unstable substances. They break apart really easily, which they meet their half-life. They break apart.
Much like my ex.
Exactly. And and they release that energy. Xenon 124
Much like me.
is one of the most stable substances that we have discovered. And what a half-life is it takes an average of 18 sextillion years for an atom of Xenon 124 to fully break apart.
Yeah, and we'll never get a third one.
And so what we have seen is we haven't seen one end. We've not seen a molecule of Xenon 124 fully break apart. Instead, what we have managed to observe with our dark matter detectors is the active decay of a molecule of Xenon 124. So basically, the easiest comparison, beyond all that science shit that I just said, is if you have a bucket of water and the bucket of water is going to evaporate in 100 days. If you could see a small moment of part of the water evaporating, that is what we witnessed.
That sounds real boring.
Science.
I don't want to watch water evaporate. I think
3,
No, you're a paint drying kind of guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It has to have color to it.
I'm going to summarize this into people who are depressed like sad music.
It was submitted by Maviatar Science.
So they did a study about what people want to listen to when they're depressed. They took a group of depressed people, they took a group of non-depressed people, they had them listen to happy music and sad music and log the results and ask them questions. And basically what they found is that depressed people want to listen to sad music, not to like wallow in sadness, but because they found that it has it doesn't help them maintain negative feelings, negative emotions. Instead, they find it calming, and sometimes even uplifting. Whereas basically it's like if you're sad, if you're this jumble of emotions, adding energy to that through like happy, uplifting stuff, that actually just encourages, it just feeds the tumultuous sadness. Whereas calm or sad music helps calm the whirlwind that is depression.
See, it's also like, wow, I'm glad my life isn't as bad as that guy's.
Right. Or it even just helps you sort through your own feelings.
Right.
So if you're sad, or if you know someone who's sad and they're listening to sad music, they're not just wallowing. Normally, it is, through this study anyway, it is shown that it actually makes them feel better.
They are healing.
I mean, yeah. Which, I mean, makes sense to me because from someone who has had depression in the past and someone who has been in that state, like, when you think of depression, when you think of someone who is sad, someone who is depressed, you think of this kind of melancholy person, right? You think of someone who is kind of distant, who is kind of shut down in a lot of ways. But that's the outside, whereas more often than not, the inside is not that way. It is there is this whirlwind, this torrent, this storm of just dark clouds and thunder that is feeding that depression, and it's normally caused through either a loss that you don't know how to deal with, or a continued stress, or a imbalance of sorts that is feeding this depression. It is not an empty void. That is just a lot of the ways of what we see it as. And so if you're just essentially just injecting lightning into a lightning storm, it's not going to help it at all. It's also
I don't know. It might diffuse some of the lightning. Come on.
I mean, you can hope.
All right, so you hit a lightning storm with so much electricity that the lightning storm explodes and ends.
I think that's called
I don't-
suicide.
We're gonna try this.
Good luck.
We're gonna need a gigantic Tesla coil
Nope, I'm done.
and
2,
a lightning storm.
Baby boomers share nearly 7 times as many fake news articles on Facebook as adults under 30.
This is submitted by Frisker to Our Technology.
Damn, Frisker.
Yeah, it's a new app where they frisk you.
You just sign up to be frisked, that's all.
Yeah, I wasn't getting any hits on Tinder, so I moved to Frisker, and I'll tell you what, I got hands all over me.
What is it? Like, what is it? A college humor skit where a guy is buying plane tickets and going through TSA just so that he can experience physical contact?
I think.
Anyway, so basically, people of the baby boomers, so people born before 1960, they share lots of fake news.
It's because they believe Fox.
I think it's also just because, like, it's much of like trying to teach your grandma not to click on that thing that says that they've won a new car.
Or download 80,000 fucking toolbars.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that. I think it's just a level of a lack of knowledge about the way that the internet works. Like, well, there seems to be this relative, like, this looks like a news site, and they're saying that, Hillary Clinton, bombed Russia, so that must be true.
She herself got in a fucking F-22, flew over there, dropped some fucking bombs.
No,
It was
man.
marvelous.
She straight up what was the
God
word?
bless America.
She appropriated a B-2 bomber
Oh,
personally.
yeah, that's right. No, she identified as a B-2 bomber, flew over there, and then dropped some bombs.
I'm just picturing Hillary Clinton now, just wah, with her arms out, just friggin' stomach opens up. Blah, blah.
I love it.
It's just bombs with the word degenerate posted on the side. No, deplorable. That's the word I'm looking for. Deplorable written on the side.
If it was Trump, it'd be deportable, know what I'm saying?
Oh, damn.
Damn.
1,
I hate this story. PepsiCo sues 4 Indian farmers for $150,000 each for infringing its rights by growing the potato variety that it uses in Lay's potato chips.
This is submitted by Snicker33 to Our World News. So you're not allowed to grow that potato?
That is what Pepsi is claiming. They are claiming they own the rights to grow that specific potato.
Yo, they can take themselves and go fuck themselves.
Yeah, right? Fuck you, Pepsi. Fuck you, corporate overlord bullshit.
You're trying to start the next fucking Irish famine? Like,
and
this is
it's
stupid. This is so stupid.
like, if these farmers were growing these potatoes, cutting them, and selling them in a bag of air that was called, like, Pay's potato chips, sure, now I think you might have something. But they're just growing potatoes.
They're trying to survive, and you guys are being dicks.
Also, each of these farmers, all of their farms are around 4 acres or less.
That's small as fuck.
Yeah, they're fuck you, Pepsi.
Wow. Pepsi is being legit dickheads right here. I hope this doesn't get any traction in the courts. I hope the courts are just like, no.
Like this shouldn't even be a case. This shouldn't be a story. This shouldn't.
No, this is stupid.
This is never something I should have had to read.
Yeah. And if that other guy, the Navy SEALs guy, wasn't the dickhead of the day, I'd say it'd be fucking Pepsi.
Yeah, right? No kidding. Like, seriously, like, I'm waiting for friggin' Nestle to sue a farmer because they have water on their land. And it's like, well, we sell water, so you can't have it.
Have you ever had Hershey's milk?
No?
Hershey makes like boxed milk, and it has very much a different flavor to it than regular milk. It actually tastes like the milk chocolate.
No.
Yeah. So the milk that they use, for their milk chocolate, they produce and put in cartons and sell.
I'm going to go with no.
It's actually not bad. It's pretty good. It's almost like having chocolate milk without chocolate.
Still going with no.
Cool.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me.
Nathan, what'd you care about in the last week?
In anticipation for Game of Thrones, I also watched Avengers, which was good. I went to a Magic tournament, got a bunch of cards, which was cool. But yeah, it's definitely waiting for Game of Thrones tonight.
Tonight's the big fight, right?
Yeah, tonight's the Battle of Winterfell.
Okay, yeah, this is supposed to be like
I'm gonna get fucking plastered.
this is supposed to be like the biggest fight, biggest battle scene ever recorded for television or whatever, or in media history or
In
whatever.
media history, it's supposed to be bigger than the Battle of Helm's Deep,
Uses like more actual actors, and it's
which is important because Helm's Deep was fucking gigantic.
like more actual actors. It's also supposed to be long as fuck, isn't it?
It's like an hour or something.
Well,
I'll find out.
you have a good time with that, sir.
If I can remember anything by the end of it, I'm gonna be drinking like crazy.
Game of Thrones last week, or more specifically, Maylee Williams blew up the internet.
Yeah, it's because she got naked.
Which, like, okay.
I mean, everybody started searching like, how old is Maisie
she?
Williams?
Yeah, I saw that. Maisie Williams' age was the most searched thing on the internet for like an hour.
All right, so the Battle of Winterfell is going to be 1 hour and 25 minutes long.
Gross.
It's the length of a movie.
Haven't
That
most
is
of these episodes been like
just-
the length of a movie?
What was that?
Haven't most of these episodes been the length of a movie?
No, generally they're around 45 minutes.
I meant this season.
This season, the first two were only like 54 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well. There it is. I cared about a couple things over the last week. We had the very last derby game of Alaska's roller derby season last night. It was really good. A big shout out to the Northwest Derby Company who flew up here from Bremerton, Washington to play against both Fairbanks Roller Derby as well as Boomtown Roller Derby. That was a really enjoyable night. I saw Endgame. That was really good. Like I said, I cried 6 times. It was a really good movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I felt like objectively, probably not exactly the greatest movie contextually and subjectively speaking.
There are some definite points where you're just like, that actually doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but that's
and
fine.
It usually has to deal with Ant-Man.
Contextually speaking and subjectively speaking, it was just a big dumb comic book movie that was a really good just end cap and Gabe lol. Anyway, to
Whoa.
this what?
No spoilers, all right?
That's
We
not-
can't talk about Captain America here.
Oh, shut up. Anyway, it was just a good summarization. It was a good wrap up to this 22 movie journey that we've been on for the last 10, 11, 12 years. Long time.
Yep, and now for its sequel.
Which, like, okay, so moving away from Endgame, like I said, it was a beautiful ending to this journey that we've been on for a long time. That's the question. What happens next, Nathan?
They do a sequel to the MCU.
Well, and that's the thing, is like people have already been asking, like, what's the next arc? Because all of this with Thanos and the Infinity Stones is now being referred to as the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Infinite Saga. So
Yeah.
what would the next saga be? Because like, you and I even
Okay,
had this
so-
conversation about like Secret Invasion or Annihilation Wave or anything like that.
Right.
But
So what happens, right? Sorry,
go ahead.
my nose. What they do is that
Do
now
less
that they
cocaine.
have the rights, because they have the rights now to the X-Men,
Right.
they should do something like X-Men versus Avengers, Battle for Atom. They can do something like Age of Apocalypse. They're more than just like the Infinity story arc isn't the only story arc they can do that's big and bad.
So here's the counter to that one, okay? And I'm not saying legitimately counter like a argument against it. But so
Is it a counter or is it a check?
more of a check, and so what I'm more looking at is that, like, so the Infinity Story worked so well because we had a MacGuffin. We had 6 Infinity Stones that could be weaved across multiple individual stories that ultimately culminated in feeding to the Infinity War and Endgame. Whereas,
Which there's a problem with that in Endgame, but I'm not going to say anything for
right,
spoilers.
no, there's multiple problems. But the problem is now, unless they're going to deal with Endgame spoiler, if we look at a story like X-Men versus Avengers, or look at Annihilation Wave or Secret Invasion or anything like that, it's harder to piece those across multiple movies because it's like Annihilus shows up, Annihilation Wave, go. Whereas, like, with Thanos and the Infinity Stones, it was like, okay, well, we can weave the Infinity Stones across multiple stories that can be their own stories easily that just happen to have an Infinity Stone in them.
You can definitely still do that with, like, say, all right, so let's say, for instance, we take it Avengers versus X-Men. What you do is you start by setting it up with Avengers movies where they introduce an X-Men or two. And then you introduce the X-Men series where they introduce a couple Avengers. And you make it to where you build it up to where they have a good relationship with each other. That takes maybe 3 to 5 movies. Then you get to a turning point where one of them fucks up horrendously and it causes tension. And then the next, like, 5 to 6 movies is nothing but tension building to where you get to the big war at the end.
Sure, I'm down for that.
Also,
Also,
you can still do all these things that you did with the Infinity Saga. You just have to actually sit there and think about it and plan.
instead of just having a MacGuffin.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Which they kind of fucked up a lot of the MacGuffin in Endgame, to be honest.
Well,
There's some definite plot holes there.
we're not going to talk about it because that's spoilers, bro.
Yeah. I'm just saying, keep your eyes peeled, guys.
All right. Anyway, I don't actually have a button for this. We're just going to get ready to get out of here. Everybody, if you'd please consider supporting the show, patreon.com/dailyinternet, or pick up some of our merchandise in the link below. You can follow us on social media or just catch up with us. Let us know what you want to talk about, whether it's an old news story, a piece of pop culture, anything at all. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit, all of those are at iReaditCast. I am at Schwan Michael, and Nathan is at Bimmenstein. We do go live 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings, Alaska Standard Time now, because Nathan's new job means we can't do the weekday shows anymore. But that's okay. We're doing what we can, and we appreciate you all the same. But that is your 544th dose of the internet. I am Michael Schwan.
And I was Alphonse, but I don't know where the fuck he went.
Abandoned you like cats do.
Yeah.
And please remember, everybody.
Well, I didn't vote for you.
Goodbye.
Bye.